On a frigid winter evening, a lone man spotted two wolves silently pacing at the edge of his property. Instead of baring fangs or growling, these majestic yet terrifying creatures appeared desperate, pawing at his door as though pleading for refuge. When he finally opened that door, he couldn't have anticipated the life-altering moment that awaited him. What exactly did these frozen wolves want, and why would they choose a human's warm hearth over the wild they call home? Warren Pierce was no stranger to harsh winters. Having lived in the remote Alaskan countryside all his life, he was well acquainted with sub-zero temperatures and howling winds. His log cabin, sturdy and worn, stood as a testament to years of surviving in one of the world's most unforgiving climates. Yet despite his rugged experience, nothing could have prepared him for the sight that greeted him late one snowy evening. It had been an ordinary day, or as ordinary as it could be in the dead of winter. Warren had chopped enough firewood to last the night and checked on his small vegetable greenhouse, which was kept alive by a single heater. As dusk fell, he retreated indoors, content to spend the long, dark hours by his crackling fireplace with a mug of hot tea. Then came a strange scratching at his front door, accompanied by soft whines that cut through the night's silence. At first, Warren assumed it was a stray dog, perhaps one of the few feral canines that roamed the outskirts of town. But as he peered out the frosted window, his heart began to pound. There, on his porch, stood two emaciated wolves. Their once proud coats were matted and dusted with snow, their breaths visible in the frigid air. Instead of snarling or acting aggressively, they trembled with cold and exhaustion. One of them even mustered a weak howl, as if calling for help. Warren's instincts battled with his caution. Wolves were, after all, wild predators. But these animals didn't appear menacing. They seemed desperate. Against his better judgment, Warren grabbed a flashlight and cautiously cracked open his door. The closer wolf took a shaky step forward, its glowing eyes filled not with hostility, but with a pleading intensity. In that moment, any fear he felt was overshadowed by a surge of compassion. What had driven these creatures to seek shelter from a human? And if he let them in, would his act of kindness invite danger into his home? Thus began an extraordinary encounter between a solitary man and two wild wolves. An encounter that would test Warren's resolve, challenge his preconceived notions of nature, and lead him to an outcome no one could have predicted. Warren stood at the threshold of his cabin, heart pounding as he took in the sight of the two wolves. Snow swirled around them, collecting in small drifts by his front door. The temperature had plummeted well below zero, and he could see the animals shivering under their fur. Their wide, luminous eyes seemed to plead for warmth and safety. It was a sight both mesmerizing and unsettling, wild predators begging for sanctuary. Still clutching the doorknob, Warren hesitated. Common sense dictated that inviting wolves into his home was a terrible idea. They were wild, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous. Yet the longer he stared into their haunted expressions, the more convinced he became that they posed no immediate threat. Their trembling bodies and weary demeanors spoke of desperation, not aggression. With a measured inhale, he made a decision. Wincing against the wind, he opened the door wider and gestured for them to come inside. The wolves exchanged a glance, if it could be called that, before cautiously padding forward, their paws leaving faint imprints in the blowing snow. The moment their fur made contact with the cabin's warmth, a shudder seemed to pass through them, as though they were finally releasing the tension they'd carried for miles in the cold.